This is Autoline Daily, the show dedicated to enthusiasts of the global automotive industry. Since the Inflation Reduction Act was signed into law, the auto industry has committed more than $120 billion in electric vehicle and battery manufacturing investments in the U.S. And while that's great for creating new jobs and hitting environmental goals, there's one big problem with all these new plants. There's not enough land to build them on. There is a lot of open space in the U.S., but there are not many places to put factories on what are called mega sites. These are locations with at least 1,000 acres of land, have access to transport, renewable energy, and a skilled workforce. Reuters spoke to one site selection executive who says there are fewer than 24 megasites still available across the country, and it can take years to create new ones because of environmental regulations or local opposition. So companies will either have to settle for smaller sites or hurry up and secure what's available now. With record prices for new vehicles in the U.S., it should come as no surprise that car payments are also reaching all-time highs. According to Edmunds, the average new car payment in the first quarter of the year was $730 a month, and that's up from $656 a year ago. And consumers paying more than $1,000 a month is on the rise too. In the first quarter of 2021, 6.3% of car buyers paid at least that much, but in the first quarter of this year, that jumped to nearly 17%, which is a record. But hopefully, this is a sign that payments will start to ease up. The average transaction price for a new vehicle was just over $48,000 in March, according to Kelley Blue Book. That was down 1.1% from February, and it was the first decrease in nearly 2 years. Like its rival BMW, Mercedes significantly boosted sales of its fully electric vehicles in the first quarter. It sold 51,600 BEVs, up nearly 90% compared to a year ago. That total was less than BMW, which sold nearly 65,000 BEVs in the first 3 months of the year. EVs now account for 10% of Mercedes' overall sales. But unlike BMW, which saw its sales dip 1.5% in Q1, Mercedes sales were up 3% overall, to more than 500,000 units.
At Schaeffler, we pioneer motion. Electrifying mobility, manufacturing smarter, reducing CO2 emissions, making energy production clean. Schaeffler pioneers motion to advance how the world moves.
Ford launched its hands-free Level 2 driver assistance system called BlueCruise in the US and Canada in late 2021, and now it's making its way to the UK. The Mach-E just received regulatory approval to operate on roadways in Great Britain with BlueCruise on. Ford says there's currently 3,700 kilometers or 2,300 miles worth of pre-mapped roads where the technology will work, but it has plans to expand in the future, including to more roads, as well as other countries and other models. However, payment will be a little bit different. In the US and Canada, owners pay $600 for a 3-year plan that unlocks BlueCruise, but in the UK, users will pay a monthly subscription of £18. Speaking of Ford and self-driving, it's testing cars that can drive themselves off the assembly line in Germany. The technology doesn't use any of the car sensors, but rather relies on 140 to 200 cameras installed around the plant to detect people or objects around the vehicles. This allows them to drive off the assembly line to a final testing station and then finally to a parking area before being shipped off to customers. And it's even testing how EVs could drive themselves to a robotic charger so that they have a full charge when they arrive at the dealership. We already know it takes less people to make EVs, and incorporating technology like this could require even fewer people to make cars. And we've seen other automakers use similar technology, so it's likely to become more widespread. But that could take a little while. Ford says its test will last for 2.5 years. Chinese automaker Zeekr, which is a premium EV brand owned by Geely, is going to expand into Europe, and it just showed off an all-new electric crossover called the Zeekr X. It's powered by either a single 200 kilowatt or 268 horsepower electric motor, or a dual motor all-wheel drive setup that puts out 315 kilowatts or 422 horsepower. That version will do 0 to 100 kilometers an hour in 3.7 seconds. All models feature a 66 kilowatt hour battery pack, which provides up to 560 kilometers or nearly 350 miles of range. Priced at under $30,000, the Zeekr X is meant to take on Tesla and other premium EV makers, and by launching into Europe this year, Zeekr hopes to double its sales, which came in at 72,000 vehicles in 2022. And be sure to join us for Autoline After Hours this afternoon. Our special guest is Ken Morris, the head of electric, autonomous, and fuel cell vehicle programs at General Motors. So for an inside look into GM's future technologies, join us at 3 p.m. Eastern Time today on our website or YouTube channel.
We want to know what drives your testing. OTA, connected car, diagnostics, remote testing. Intrepid Control Systems is here to help you work from anywhere. Intrepid Control Systems, driven by your data.
Volkswagen is introducing a new rear electric drive unit for its ID family of vehicles. The company says the new drive offers higher performance while also improving efficiency. The new powertrain has an output of 210 kilowatts or 281 horsepower and maximum torque of 550 newton meters or 405 pound-feet, depending on the vehicle's gearing ratio. VW says it was able to improve the efficiency with a new cooling system that operates without an electric oil pump. The new drive unit will debut in the ID.7 before the end of the year. Automakers have improved the safety of SUVs so they're not as dangerous to other vehicles in an accident. But the Insurance Institute for Highway Safety, or IIHS, says companies need to do more to protect cyclists. SUVs tend to knock riders down where they could be run over instead of vaulting them onto the hood like a sedan. And that's, of course, because SUVs have a higher point of impact. The IIHS says ground impact injuries, which can cause head injuries, are twice as likely to happen in SUV crashes rather than ones with cars. In 2010, there were 621 bicyclists killed on U.S. roads, but that jumped to 932 in 2020. The IIHS says that's likely because there are more trucks and SUVs in the U.S. vehicle fleet today. Volvo is bringing the power of the sun into its vehicles. The upcoming EX90 will feature 72 special LEDs that are called sun-like LEDs, which are said to provide a near sun-like experience on the interior. Volvo claims this makes the colors on its interior look more natural, helps magnify the aesthetics of the interior, and even says it can reduce eye strain and headaches. The Polestar 3 will also use sun-like LEDs. And that brings us to the end of today's show. Thanks for joining us, and please like, comment, or subscribe.
Autoline Daily is brought to you by Bridgestone, solutions for your journey. Intrepid Control Systems, over-the-air engineering, boost your game. And by Schaeffler, we pioneer motion.